This conference will now be recorded.
Hello, good morning.
Hi,
Good
good
morning,
morning.
Amal.
Sorry, I had some emergency and I had to go off on Thursday. And the servers are up now, it seems. So you people
Yeah.
have now server access? Everybody?
Nope.
No,
I was told that you people are given an access through email.
No, they didn't give us.
I got it actually.
Who? Shekhar or Lakshman? Who got it?
Lakshman.
Okay, so Dinesh and Shekhar are yet to get.
I
Yeah.
didn't get any.
So even the documents?
Yeah, we got the documents and recordings, but
Not the
not
access.
server access. Yeah.
Let's see, maybe I'll check with them. Uh, Give me 1 minute.
Lakshman, they just send a separate mail for that access, or in that server, means like in that Cloud Foundation website, they just give you that link.
In support only they gave me that.
Okay, then we'll check today from them.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you guys get the notes from Amelia?
Yes, in that Cloud Foundation website, they just give you that credentials. You can just log in and you can check from there.
Okay, so Lakshman, you have requested for that in Cloud Foundation website?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
When I spoke to Deepak or someone, they said like to get in touch with the support team using the chat box there. So I just did that and got that.
Okay, now let's just start with the recap because it was a long time. So, what all do you people remember from the past classes? So, we were seeing something about see, okay, we got one thing. We have something called, we talked about something called ORS states, correct, the other day?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So, if you see that in our lab, we have all possible states except the green one, which is absolutely valid state. This is warning, this is error, this is unknown state. I do not want to touch rest of the ORS because they have wantingly just set it to the error state because those are not working properly. Probably they'll remove them today or tomorrow. But yeah, it's
Hello?
something. Hey Venu, we
Hello.
just
I just joined because I didn't get the correct site
yeah,
right
yeah,
now.
no problem. My mistake. No, we didn't start also anything. On the other day, we were seeing that there are different states of ORS, and
Right.
I'm just trying to show that those are the marks. One is a cross mark, one is a question mark, another is an apostrophe in a triangle. But we
Okay.
cannot see the right symbol because that we can see only during the creation of the ORS. Rest of the time, ORS will always be in the warning state most of the time.
Okay.
Okay, let me just try to open something. See, we have some errors, correct? And I'm trying to click this error. It is showing something called a repair button. Okay, sure. This is not repairable error. If it is a repairable error, then this button is enabled, repair error. If we click on it, all these errors will go automatically. But this error is something which some people have enabled some smart search, but we do not have a smart search license here. And those are some errors in which definitely admin team will have to take care. Let us see some other ORSs also. See, these are something related to search and all those things. People have enabled whatever they want, and that's the reason this has become a non-repairable error. If it is something repairable, then this button will be enabled for us so that we click on it and it will be repaired. And this will show only repairable errors. Okay, and if it is something non-repairable, then as a developer, you have nothing to do about it and you need not worry also about it. All you need to know is there is a repair button and you will have to work on this repair button. Hmm. Okay, there are no repairable errors at all. But there is something in an invalid state. If I just try to validate it, there is something called, okay, we will go through these things. On the other day, we were just seeing that, right? Um, so we will go through these things now. So we saw about all these things, database. So I did not show about user creation and all, right? I'm just confused between the concepts. I did not show anything in lab with respect to configuration, correct? Did I?
Yeah. Yeah. No, no.
Okay.
In the theory, you told me about the ORS. You ran the script on that day.
Yeah, okay, but we
That's
did not see how to configure and all those things here,
no,
right?
it did not. It tried to connect. It cannot connect it on that day.
Okay, thank you. So let me try to just unregister this one and try to register this. Maybe one moment. I could have done this earlier. Okay, let me try to do something. This is something called adding an ORS, removing an ORS, editing an ORS, and checking the database connection properties. Let me try to remove one. Okay, cannot remove because there are a lot of dependencies. Just a minute. Okay, so the ORS underscore RM has been removed. Let us try to add the same. So as I said, only 3 databases are supported within MDM: Oracle DB2 and SQL Server. Let me consider Oracle and Service. Now this is same like registering a schema within the SQL developer. Let us try to. This was nothing but ORS underscore RM. One moment. Okay, so host name is since it is a default server, localhost service ORCL, DNS name ORCL, none ORS underscore RM, password tiger. See, this is just like registering in my Toad or in SQL developer. I'm trying to register a schema and I did not give this to. Let me just try to remove this. Okay, I'm not giving these two, but when I click on next and again go back, I see that these are populated. We have nothing to do with it. We are not going to do it in any real-time project also. We are just given these details and we are trying to fill the details. That's it. I'm doing a next and I'm trying to do a test. Okay, a database connection is succeeded. If any of these details is incorrect, a database details here itself fails. For example, let me give a password, wrong password. If I do a next and do a test, testing database connection parameters failed. The database connection test failed. Check the database parameters. So it will tell us that, okay, there is some issue with the database parameters here itself when you click on the test button. Let me try to again test. Okay, database test connection succeeded. Even if the database is down or if any of the parameters are wrong, if database is down, then the error shows the error that will be shown as database unavailable. Okay, the error will not be exactly the same. It will show the errors accordingly. And do not uncheck this button. Why? Because now whenever we, okay, I do not know if we have an access for that. What it happens is every time you create a database or you add a not creation, sorry, whenever you add a database in MDM, it saves all this repository, I mean all this metadata into our different tables of MDM like C repos and all those things. Meantime, let me try to open it and show you. Actually, we do not have an access to one schema. I'll show you that also, give me some time. Okay, but I tested now and the connection is fine and I'm just clicking OK. The ORS has been created, registered and the data source has been created successfully. This is what we are seeing. So what is exactly registering a ORS? Registering a ORS is nothing but I have given a database schema. Okay, let me try to show you something meantime. I'm trying to start the MDM server in my local machine. This weekend I had some time and I just fixed some problems in my local machine. So every time you log into, I mean, as an admin, if you ask somebody to start a server, this is what they do. They go to a JBoss bin folder and this is the only command used. If they are using ActiveOS and all, they start using some other commands. But this from here to here is a basic MDM JBoss startup command. So JBoss is now up and running. Now what will happen? Meantime, I'll show all these things in my local, but we will be working only on a server machine. What did I say? What are the important files for us when you try to start a JBoss? What are the files that should be up
Two
for
files
MDM?
are up. Siperian .mr deployed something.
Okay.
One more is there. Siperian.mr. Need to check.
Cleanse.
Yeah,
Cleanse.
cleans.
Okay. So list of the, okay, there are many things in my local. I don't worry about it. The two things that we need are cleanse should be in deployed state and MRM should be in deployed state. It is in is
Yes.
deployed state. We'll just see. This is my local machine And today what we will do is we will go in detail for all the first part of this one. Okay, we'll go through the configuration. In my local, I have an access to create a schema. So I'll try to create it. I'll try to register it from end to end. We can see that. Okay. See, since these files are not completely up, okay, and JBoss is still starting. Uh, You see, these classes are generally not required for any training purposes, but it is my own interest so that you will have a clear idea about how it happens and all those things. Because see, all the sessions depends upon working professionals or freshers. If there are freshers, these are not required for them. If working professionals, definitely you will not tell that you have just beginning or training experience in MDM. You always portray yourself as uh, I mean, very much experience, like at least 2 to 3 years. So I'm adding all these classes out of my interest. Give me one moment. Where is this? See, these are in is deploying state, and still I cannot see the MDM URL up and running. Okay, what does it mean? It means that if the JBoss file, though the J, now I can see that my JBoss was up, but though my JBoss is up, here my files are still in deploying state. Since my files are all in deploying state, I cannot open the MDM URL. Administration console for JBoss is opening, but I don't think I have a user. I'll try. Okay, I have a user. So it's still, the server is temporarily unavailable. Is the server still booting? Yes, it's still booting. So this is something, a JBoss server. We have just switched on the JBoss server and the server is up and running. And every time when you do a restart of a JBoss server, these files will get a do deploy. See, initially they were all deployed. Now they are getting a do deploy state. Meaning every time you switch on the server, these files are all deploying themselves again. Getting the point? So, okay. What all we will do today is we will try to create a schema in my local, and then we will try to register it in my local database. Before all these things happen, we will see rest of the things which are not required for this part. We will see again in the local so that you will have an idea on how when a schema creates, what all will happen in a backend. Okay, before we will do rest of the small things which is not required in the local. So now let us go to users. Before the server, since the server is taking some time to start, I'm just starting these things. We will see in this machine how to add the users and all. What you people should do as a first step when you get a lab is acquire a lock. You know that we should acquire a lock to do anything. Try to add a user. For example, I guess there is some user called Amelia. There is no name. I will try to add. So you can give your default database to this. In general, when you are in a real-time project, you will be given access to one particular ORS on which you will be working on. And then I'll put some password like the same. Amulya. At this point of time, I can try it logging into Amulya. See, I'm given an access to this ORS. That's the reason I see only one ORS when I try to log in with my user. Whereas when I logged in with my admin, I can see many other ORS. Correct? So it all depends upon which ORS I want to connect. So right now I do not have any access. I did not give any particular access to. Let me try to log in with admin. When you people get a lab access, first try to create your user. Make sure that you will work with your user only. And in any real-time project, you should use only your users. You cannot use admin because admin password anyways will be changed. And if at all something goes wrong, people cannot backtrack in the logs as who did what. And that's the main reason you should start using start
And
creating.
we should use which ORS while creating a user
Trusted.
for this?
When you're creating a user, you'll create everything in master hub database. But
Okay.
when you're using it, maybe you can work on ORS underscore HM or Amulya underscore ORS. Both are fine. I'll actually ask admin team to remove few of the things and create a new ORS if possible, because all the other ORS which are invalid are no more required. Okay, at any point of time you can see, you can the user is just enabled now. If I do now, if somebody goes out of project, we do not directly remove this ORS. If at all by chance you are telling that you have an access admin, I mean experience and configurations also, then there might be a case they might give you access to this configuration also in real time, and they may tell you that okay, user is gone, please remove their access. Remove their access does not mean that remove the entire user, just enabled should be disabled and save. I'll show you. Now if I try to log in with Amulya, it is showing some error. Your user account has been disabled. It is not showing some invalid error. It is clearly saying that your user account has been disabled. Consult your administrator for assistance. Consult the MDM Hub documentation for more. Now I will again log in as admin. Okay, whenever somebody asks you that, okay, this guy is out of project, please remove their access. Please do not go and directly remove them. Just try to disable them. Okay, and there will be a cleanup. There is something called a cleanup in an admin part where they say that, okay, remove all the users who have been disabled. That might be one set of another project, not like a project, that might be another set of a development work. There might be hundreds and hundreds of users, and they will tell you that, okay, remove all those users who have been disabled. At that point of time, you'll just remove it directly. But in any running project, if somebody says to you remove an access for a user, that means that just disabling them. Do not delete it. If you delete it, then definitely you'll pay for it. Nobody will tell you that remove them. Okay, the terms will be like remove the user, but you should understand that just disabling them is enough. Okay, some users might be admin. Once you have an administrator access, then you'll have access to all the ORS, irrespective of which ORS you have as a default. So create your own schema. This is something called change password. This is something called edit your details, manage password policy, edit your details, and all those things. This button is enabled only if some user is unlocked. Meaning when somebody logs in again and again with an incorrect password, definitely even in your bank, net banking or wherever, the user gets logged, even in your phone, login pins and all. Then the admin will log in with his user ID and password and tries to unlock the user. Okay, this is very simple about adding the user. There is something called a target policy, where now Atul has been given access to ORS Lab 1. Now I still do not want him to access, for example, now I have given Amulya an access to Amulya ORS, correct? What I want to do is, she should have access to two different ORS, to Amulya ORS and ORS underscore RM. At this point of time, I'll do a right click and assign a user. I'll just show you what makes the difference. That means that by default, I can assign only one database. I cannot assign n databases. So I assign her one. And now let us try to log in with her ID. See, I can see two ORSs under her name. What does it mean? Meaning, oh shit, meaning at any point of time, by default, you will be given access to one ORS, and you can switch to any other ORS by giving them access independently. But if I give her an admin access, then definitely she will be able to access everything, all the ORSs, irrespective of what has been assigned to her. Since I do not want her to give access as an admin and I want her to only access only few things, I will try to provide her only an access through this target database. there might be a case where you might need an access to development and then testing. Both the ORSs are the same for the same user. At that point of time, you come to that particular ORS, do a right click and assign the users. Okay. And when you talk about global policy, what should be the minimum password length, maximum password length, when should the password expire, after how many days, and number of grace. After 10 login attempts, if there is a wrong password, then it will be logged, account will be logged. And then you should, as an admin, somebody should unlock the account. How many times the password can be reused, like after every 3 times, the old password can be used. And should there be any special character, should it start with something? This is all a simple password policy which you can just read, which is all given by MDM by default. Okay, any doubt here?
No.
No.
So this is,
Amulya, does MDM give alert when the password is expiring?
no, no. Password will not, it will not be alerted. Yeah, but if you keep any trigger, then you can just see it from an external system that the password is getting triggered. But maximum times what they try to do is they never expire the policy, but they never expire the passwords in MDM. This is internal hub console, right? So just for the development, they generally do not expire it at all. Sorry. If at all you set it to expire and set out the number of days, whenever you try to log in, it will tell that this will expire in few days, but it will not show you exclusively to your email or something. When you try to log in, it will say that password will expire in 3 to 4 days. And
It's
how
going to
many
give
days?
a hint.
It's going to give you a hint, but only one time, not every time.
Okay. So at that time, we have to change our password, right?
Yeah, that's it. But if you forget and you do it later, then definitely it will not show you the alert again.
Okay.
I guess that is before 24 hours. I guess I exactly do not remember that, but yeah, it is there, but one time.
But who is going to set the time for the password to expire? The administrator does it, or?
Yeah, administrator does it, and it is all purely his wish. Client has nothing to do with password expiry and all.
Okay.
Your administrator or your SME will be responsible, or your architect will tell that okay, expire the password. And in 99.9%, this password policy is never set in MDM.
Okay. Maybe we have to check with administrators frequently when my password is going to expire or something.
Yeah, probably you can drop an email once, and they will tell you if they have even set that policy or not.
Okay. Okay.
Mostly, they will not set this policy for sure in any project. But you dropping an email might help you understand that it will expire or not.
Okay.
Okay, this is about users and security providers. Now, when we try to add a user, there is something called use external authentication. If I click on it, these both are just disabled, meaning I'm using some other external module to access it. What does it mean by? Now, there are projects where you have VPN tokens to log in, where you get a call to your mobile phone, and once you click once you pick up the call, your application will be logged in. Okay, there are multiple technologies like security. Similarly, we have some security providers in MDM where you can add that provider file name and details. Okay, this is something internally that MDM provides. These all are external plugins and external licenses which we do not use. If at all any project wants to use such kind of security where users should get a phone call to their mobile, they log in, or every time when they log in they should get an email and a link, clicking on that particular link should log into your MDM and all those things. We try to add those servers here, and whenever those particular users are logging in, then that email or phone call will be triggered. This will all be a third party, third party licenses and a third party configuration. What you will be given is like we have an MDM hub console URL, localhost 8080/cmx. We will add that particular URL here for that particular, that particular name and what will be the value. Those server details will be added here, and those servers will be enabled so that whenever somebody logs in and tries to give their ID, then that particular people will be given a call or an email. But this level of security is not required for a developer, and mostly if you take around 10 projects, you not even a one project in 110 will be using. If you take 100 projects, then definitely one project might be using the security. For example, banking project. But most of the time, people will not be given access at all to MDM if at all not required. That is for sure. Okay, here you are not doing anything. You're just trying to add provider's details. That's it. These are MDM internal provided details. But if you want to add something, you can just utilize these providers taking their licenses. But yeah, if at all you do not take a license again, this will not anyways work. So you need not worry much about this. If at all anything is there, an admin will take care of it. You need not know also about it. Just that if he will tell you that, okay, MDM, when you log in, a password is not created, but you'll get a call every time to this mobile number. Or whenever you log in, you'll get email to this email ID, and you will have to click a link to log in. You have nothing to do here. It's purely an admin part. Any doubts here? If people are silent, I assume that you understood it.
No, yeah, yeah.
Or, yeah.
Yes. Yes, Amulya is okay.
Yes,
Okay.
Amulya, it's okay.
Thank you. So we'll go to next to tool access. This is something as a developer, you need not know this is completely an admin part, but you should have an idea on what's happening. And this is important to understand your knowledge on what is exactly happening. Now, if I take some users are listed here. Who are these users? All these users who are non-administrators are listed here. Okay. Let me go to users tab and let me take somebody who is an administrator. See, Benazir Sheikh is an administrator. His name isn't listed here. And somebody mute yourself. Venu, can you please mute yourself? Thank you. Okay, see that guy called Benazir Sheikh is not available here because he's an admin. Whoever is a non-admin will be visible in a tool access. And why? Because uh, I need not give my entire access to the developers. If at all he is an admin, that means that he should have everything. That means that he should know everything. That means that he should have access to everything. But when I take to non-admin users, there might be a case where Shaker should work only on model and Venu should work only on utilities and Dinesh should work only on IDD. There might be different cases where people should work on. At that point of time, I give access to only those particular tools. What I will do is, I'll try to provide, now Amulya N is there, I will provide her only access to model. So in model also, it's purely my wish. I need not give her an access to system and trust. Give me this key. Okay. I'm giving her only access to this. Meaning now when I try to log in with Amulya, in model, I have only this access. For a non-admin user, you have to give a tool access for what they should access and all those things. Now let me try to log in with admin. Anyways, I have access to system and trust is there for me. It wasn't there for her. Okay, so you can give a very restricted access to the non-admin users. If at all you want people only to develop tables, then you will give access to schemas. Okay, where what will be developed, we will see that in the later classes. But you can give a very restricted access to the development people also or development team also. So who should work on what will be all decided by your SME architect or a team lead, and those accesses will be provided accordingly. So you can give access to only IDD, only utilities. See, these are these parts: configuration, model, security, data steward, and utilities. These are the 5 things along with the IDD. And when you talk about configuration, most of the projects, as a developer, you people will not have access to this configuration at all. But you'll have access to all the rest of the modules except maybe a data steward. You'll have access to model, SAM, and utilities as a developer for sure. In most of the projects, they do not give access to configuration. In some projects where there is a least security, they do provide you access to configuration. Okay, now why is it important for a developer to know? When at all something is not enabled for you, when at all something has been, something isn't working for you, then you should know that, okay, boss, I do not have a proper access and you have to raise a request to our admin team saying that, okay, can you please provide me a proper tool access? Tool access is the word that you should use as a developer. You should know that. You should not go and tell that, okay, I do not have access to this. Now, whenever Amulya wants to raise a request for system and trust, you should not go and tell, please, can you please provide me an access to system and trust? They do not understand it. You should go and tell that, can you please provide me a tool access for system and trust? That's a proper way to use it. Okay, when you call yourself experienced, then they expect you to know few things, and that word is very important. So, any doubts here?
No, Amulya.
When we create a user, right, new user, initially it won't have any access to this one. We have to come here and provide the access which we require. I mean, that means we'll give that.
Exactly. When you provide her an admin access, then you need not come here, because all those people, for example, take Divya Prakash. Okay, let me go to a tool access. I don't see him here at all.
Mm,
When at all somebody is admin, he is having everything. But when at all somebody is a non-admin, definitely you will have to come here and provide him the access. Else
okay.
he can still log in, but the screen will be blank. Let me just show that. We were just seeing, right? We were just seeing. When we initially logged in with Amulya, we couldn't see anything. But when we gave
Yeah,
her
yeah.
an access to model, we saw few things. Until and unless you do not give an access, now they cannot access this particular modules.
Before, as a developer, before we start the project development, we can go there and check we have all the access or not.
Yeah, but if at all you have access to this particular configuration.
Oh, okay.
Okay, when you talk that you are a completely core developer, then there might be a case where you do not have access to configuration at all.
Okay. So we have to request admin to do that.
Yes, yes. Or there might be cases sometimes initially people will be given access. They will tell that, okay, create your own user, and once you everybody creates their own user and sets their password, they try to remove, and they will tell that, okay, give yourself the entire access, and once you give the entire access, the admin logs in and try to remove the configuration part for everybody. And from there on, because if there are 100 users, admin will not sit and give them create 100 users. They are very lazy people, and they tell that, okay, you can log in, we have given you full rights, just try to create your own user with admin ID and password, and you try to create your users, and once everybody creates it, he'll try to log in and just remove the tool access for everybody for configuration part. That is very rare case in some projects, but yeah, most of the times admin or somebody will try to create it for you. Okay, let us go to our next part called message queue. Now, again, message queue is a separate add-on license, which is again a third party. What is a message queue? When we try to get a data from a third party application, and then we try to push it. So I get a data from salesforce.com, for example. I try to do a masterizing. I mean, I'll try to do all the consolidation process, match and merge, and I now have a unique records. Now, after generation of unique records, what happens is there might be different people consuming this data for their purposes. Like some people might use the customer data to send the messages like happy birthday and all those things using the date of birth. Some people might use that particular data to check the expiry. If at all with an insurance project, they will check if the insurance is being expired, and they try to call or email them saying that, okay, your insurance is being expired and all those things. At that point of time, this message queues is a third party application that MDM allows you to access, so that once any data gets changes, or you can set up a trigger to my, so for example, I am from a credit card department, and whenever if somebody does not pay a bill after 24th of this month, I will have to call them and ask, why haven't you paid the bill? Can I come and collect the bill and all these things. So using a message queue, I can set up an alert saying that after every 24th 12 p.m. 12 a.m. Send the messages of all those customers who have not paid the credit card bill, or whose dues have not yet been cleared. I'll set up those particular what do you say? I'll set up those particular conditions and all here, so that I'll get the data from all my base objects for a non-due customers to my email, or at least to some other table which I have created, and all the data will be saved in that particular table. In simple, what is a message queue? Message queue is nothing but an alert triggerer, where alerts will be triggered for your conditions that have been set. Okay, all those conditions are also predefined. Excuse me. These message queues are all third party. Informatica MDM also provides you a message queue, but that is again a separate license. You cannot use the existing MDM license. Okay, what you will do, again as a developer, you have nothing to do here. As an admin, what they try to do is they try to configure this particular server. This is just like message queue. Add a message queue server. This server connection factory and display name will be given by the third party vendor, whoever is responsible for that queues. This might be a Java server or some other any third party server. I'll just add those details and click OK. Such dummy server is this, and once you click on it, you'll get these particular server details and all those things. And where you will configure these particular things, like when should this message be triggered, we will see it in the development part. As a developer, you will be responsible for setting the conditions as when a message queue should be triggered. But for now, this is configuring a message queue server. Server details, like we have a database details, we just got all the host details, TNS details and all those things. You'll get them server details and you'll just add those details, that's it. You're not going to do anything apart from it. It's just they are giving you some server details from the third party and you're configuring that particular server here. Again, as a developer, you have nothing to do with the message queues. As a developer, you should, so I will tell you that, okay, when you're creating a table, please set a rule that whenever a new record is entering a table, send it to my table also, or send it to alert team. Then that as a developer, we will be configuring it in later classes. But how to add a server and all is not my job. Clear here?
Yeah.
So Amulya, when you try to insert data or deleting data in a table, so it should trigger, right? So as a developer, we can do that.
Yeah, as a developer, you will set the conditions when it should be triggered.
Okay.
Okay.
So this is part of outbound process?
Yeah, it's a part of completely admin process.
No, outbound.
Outbound, yeah, outbound, what you do is you just, now you have a server in MDM, you trigger when you just enable few settings in your tables when it should be triggered. What will happen in an outbound is completely an admin part where this particular server will talk to the other server and that will be taken care by the, end server. It's outbound.
Okay.
Here we are connecting the servers to talk. As we connected in a database, we are connecting a database server so that MDM should talk to a database server. Similarly, in MDM, we are connecting the third-party server so that it will listen to whatever you say. It's an outbound message that we are sending.
Okay. What kind of servers we can configure for this activity?
It can be, you can use this ActiveOS tool to trigger a message, or you can use any BPM servers like business process management tools, where these processes are defined and the job is triggered just to get all the data to that particular tables. Or you can use this Informatica IDQ also, Informatica ILM, Lifecycle Management Tool. These are all the servers which help you to trigger between the servers to get the data from one server to another server. Or you can even set up your Power Center also here, because Power Center is the one that will get the data from one table to other table, right?
Yeah.
So a simple Power Center server can also configure. Most of the time, people use Power Center itself because Power Center will already be there in that project, and using the Power Center here help them to save their licenses.
Okay.
At that point of time, the Power Center details will be added here. Maybe when you go to an interview, when they ask you that did you work on message queues, when you can say yes, and how did you configure that I will show you it in the data classes. When they use that, what was the message queue server that you used, you can say that we use Power Center server. And when they ask that what was the reason for using Power Center, you can say that in our project there was already a Power Center, and we wanted to use the full of it. We tried to use the same license in MDM also. Can somebody who is not talking just go on mute? Okay. And when this Power Center itself is configured, then there is no point of taking an additional server, and it's just setting up at a target. So MDM and Power Center can always talk to each other. You can tell
Okay.
that this, they ask that what was the message queue server used, you can say that we use Power Center itself to save the cost.
Okay. So how we configure that and all, we'll see in the later classes, right?
Configuration we will not see, but we will see how we will trigger these messages. I mean, on what conditions can we trigger the messages at developer and all those things. Configuration is just as simple as it. Here I'll just right click. I do not have any server details. Here we will give the connection factory, the server details of the Power Center.
Okay.
Okay, and this connection factory will set up a connection between the MDM and Power Center, and rest of the configurations what we do we will see in the later classes. How we will configure a database to trigger a message, how we will configure our base object to trigger a message, we will see in the later classes.
Okay, the configuration will be taken care by admin team,
Yes,
where they
completely.
get the connection factory details and all. They'll put that and
Yes,
then add here.
yes, yes.
Okay. So when we send, how we send, that we will see the later.
Yeah, how we will send that we will see in the later classes. What all is the development part, we will see that. But an admin part, we do not have any connection factory server details or any other third-party licenses. So we do not see it here.
Okay.
Okay, repository manager, I'll come back later. That is a very big part. And that is a very important part. Now, when we talk something about enterprise manager, enterprise is not something that you configure or see. It is a hub or a place where you can see all your server details. It can be your Oracle, JBoss, what are the versions using, what are the process servers that are being used, what are the databases that have been, what is the database that is being used, what are the databases that have been configured, what are those details, and environment report. What you should know in an enterprise manager is environment report. I have just clicked on it, it is taking some time. What is environment report is a place, environment report is a place where you get the details of your entire MDM servers. It can be an application server, it can be a database server, or it can be an MDM server by itself. Meaning, when at all you raise an Informatica ticket or when you have some issues with MDM and somebody third party is coming and seeing your MDM application, for example, sometimes the project might be going in red and you call some experts to look into that application. The first thing that they try to do is they log into an MDM Hub Console, go to an enterprise manager and click on the environment report to see what all are the versions of MDM you are using, what are the database versions you are using, what all are the things that are happening in the entire report is saved under environment report. I have clicked on it. It will take some time to generate initially. It will show you the entire details of your database, JBoss, Java, all the ORSs that have been added, and the MDM Hub Console database details. This is nothing but a view of everything that have been integrated with your MDM. If at all you have added a message queue server, it will show it here. If at all you have added some security provider server, it will show it here. Anything that is connected to or fro MDM is all shown here.
This is basically a report for auditing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Not just for editing, for even for anybody who just comes in and tries to understand that what exactly is happening in a machine. They try to log into an enterprise manager and see what all are the versions. They cannot keep asking you that, okay, which version of Oracle are you using, which version of, rather than asking if he's an expert, he'll come directly to enterprise manager and try to see and understand what exactly is happening or what exactly are used. Okay, I clicked on an environment report. Okay, environment report isn't opening. Let us see, maybe in my local meeting about the environment report, there is some problem. It is not. It is taking a lot of time to open. Okay, now, now, do not allow me. Just that if somebody want to use it, when you click on an environment report, there will be a save button where you can save this entire detailed file and you can send it to any third-party people or Informatica Private Limited. If at all your system completely goes down, you will go and contact Informatica that, guys, we don't understand what exactly is happening. Can you please check? And the first thing they ask you is, can you please send us the environment report? And you should be able to say that where the environment report lies. It lies in the enterprise manager. Okay, I'll show that in my local how to save it because this has been freezed. And there is something called a workflow manager. What is a workflow manager? You might be, we were talking about message queues like ActiveViews, BPM, and all those things, right? If at all message queue is used using an Informatica Power Center server, then no problem. That's just a single server. But if at all you have something called ActiveViews or business process management tools, where when you create a record, it should go to an approval to one manager. So, for example, if you take your appraisals, your team lead will give some reviews, and that will go for your project manager, and then that will go to your delivery manager. And these are levels of approvals. When you maybe in your any other your portal of your company, you can go and see that your hierarchy will be shown there. Or at least when you trigger a button of a leave button, it will go for an approval for your manager. If you apply for a leave, it will go for an approval for your manager. Similarly, workflow manager is something which again is a third party server. It is not licensed with MDM. It is some other third party server and should be licensed with MDM, where you configure the server here, the adapter name, description, and the jar file should be there for that particular entire configuration. It can be an ActiveOS, it can be any other, I mean, business process management tools, where you configure the entire tool here, and we make sure that your approvals will be sent. This is used with IDD, where if somebody is creating a record in IDD, that will be sent for an approval. That we will see IDD part completely later classes. But workflow manager is something where a level of, whenever you have a requirement of level of approvals, where when a record is updated, send it for an approval to an admin. Where a new record is created from one particular source, please send this approval for that particular source admin. And all those things you can manage with that particular workflow manager. Workflow manager is nothing but basically again a third party server or a third party tool which helps you to what is it, to drill down the accesses of that particular user, or to drill down the access of the data. It's like it will enable you a button in IDT where you can click and send it for an approval to the next level of person. Even in your projects or even in your real-time companies, when you apply for a leave, then a mail or a request will be triggered to your manager saying that approve or decline. That button is all controlled from this workflow manager. It's just an example I'm giving you. Or if you try to, what do you say? What more can I tell? Okay,
So
when
where
you get
exactly do you use this workflow manager in MDM?
okay, in MDM, where we try to use this, there might be cases where people might be accessing. I mean, let me tell you. Now, for example, I might be logging into IDD, the MDM front-end tool, and try to add the data. But I might add the data and all do those things. There might be a case where I might enter a wrong data, or I'm not a proper person to add it. At that point of time, what we try to do is, rather than enabling a save button for a record, we will enable something called send for approval, where other person will review it and then try to approve it. Once they approve, then only the record will be saved in my base object.
Okay.
So this is the process. Similarly, now for example, let me give a simple, now we have something called SpiceJet, where I might be entering all the details from my front end, spicejet.com, and I might be applying multiple discounts. Immediately for a second, it might be go, I mean, when you apply, so for example, I have a coupon called Spice 500, where that 500 coupon will be applied with such processes. When you click on coupon and click on apply, then sometimes it will tell that, okay, this coupon has been expired, or this coupon is not applicable for this particular flight. That kind of things will all be managed within MDM. Okay, okay, let me not divert you or put you into more complex things. In simple, when at all I'm trying to add a data into my base object, I will feel that this particular user should not add the data directly. Whenever Amulya adds the data into my base object, it should be gone to an approval from Shekhar. And at that point of time, I will set up those particular conditions here in my workflow manager.
Amulya, are we going to learn active VOS workflow?
No. ActiveOS is completely a different tool. different license, and if you take ActiveOS again, that will take a training of 15 to 20 days. That's a complete separate tool. But what I'm trying to do in MDM is I'm providing you the access to that particular tool, so that if you want that particular kind of data flow where it will be sent to across the applications for across the people for approvals, I can provide you that add-on on this MDM itself.
See, one of the requirements in a bank, I was looking for an ad for MDM developer. They were asking for active VOS experience, workflow experience, and IDD, F360, all the exits, hub exit and IDD exits.
Exits and all, nobody is still using now. Exits and all are gone with the old versions itself. In the new versions, we are not using exits at all.
Okay. What about F360? What is F360?
There is nothing called F360. It is something called E360 might be you're talking about.
Oh, okay.
Okay, E360 is again an extended version of IDD itself. That also we will be taking care in the classes. But ActiveOS is somebody ask them clearly when you're going for an interview or to a job. When they talk about ActiveOS, nobody as an MDM developer are expected to know ActiveOS workflows. All they will ask is, have you worked on a workflow manager? Yeah, you should only tell that yes, the workflow manager, don't tell that admin has added it. Tell that we were given all the server details, and remember these names. We were given the workflow adapter name, we were given a jar file, and what we were told is configure it in our MDM page.
Okay.
And that was all taken care by the ActiveOS people. We just configured it in MDM, and we could see that this was enabled automatically in IDD. That's it, you should know about it. When you talk about ActiveOS, that's a completely again separate, that's a separate tool. Like Informatica MDM, like Power Center, ActiveOS is a separate tool.
There's extra salary. We had to ask for extra salary for that.
Yeah, yes. And for that, you need all the complete Java expertise. No MDM developer, they try to ask you, do you know? But no MDM expert will not, ActiveOS, not even me. If I sit on an interview, though I ask that, do you have an idea on ActiveOS? All that I expect from them is, we configured the jar file in MDM. The jar file is an important word. And all that I expect is, we can see that in IDD very clearly. And if at all there is some issue with a jar file here, then that will not be enabled in IDD.
Okay. We're going to learn IDD?
Yeah, IDD we are going to learn.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay,
Clear here? Thank you. Any more doubts here?
No, Amulya.
Thank you. Now we will go back to my local. I am expecting, yeah. See, my server is up and everything is in deployed state. Let me just do a few things here. I'm just trying to disable my WAR files, because every time if something is starting or booting up, I don't want the unnecessary WAR files to get deployed.
So Amulya, do deployments is still deploying or not?
No, I have disabled those WAR file, and every time that will be in undeployed state, do deploy or undeployed state. All the things that we need is just de-deployed or deployed state. Okay, I don't want all these things. Every time I start my server, it is taking a lot of time because all the WAR files are being deployed. So I need only these files. All the things that I need is this one, Hyperion MRM and cleanse. Okay, let me try to open this. See, this is a JBoss server console page. Definitely, I don't think you people need it. But yeah, if I want, I can see it here. Let me now try to open MDM. I just wanted to show you one difference. What happened? See, here the page is opening like this. And in our machines, see, again, I did not show you people all these things, but when you call yourself an expertise, you should know all these things. Here, There is something called 10.1. In our, this is your server which you will be given access to, and this is my local version. This is also 10.1, but there is something called HF6, which is changing the appearance. Both are exactly the same. I'll try to log in.
What is HF6, Amulya?
It is something called hotfix 6, which is a patch on 10.1 version. There are many patches that will be released by MDM. If there are small bugs, if some logging has a problem, if some outsourcing jar files have some problem with connectivity, they release these HF1s, HF1, HF2, HF3, and all those things. Well, at this point of time, HF6 something which I installed in my local, but all these have the same license. If you take a license for 10.1, that will be useful for 10.1 and 10.2. Irrespective of the hotfixes. Hotfix is nothing but a patch.
Amulya 10.1 is there since long time, since the inception of master data management, since the beginning of the data master data management. This is the first version, right?
No. 9.5 is the first version. 10.1 was just released 2 years ago.
Okay.
And most of the projects still use 10.1. See again. I logged in and the pages are exactly same irrespective of the version, though the login page was a bit different, but when I logged inside, everything is exactly the same. Okay, now let me try to create an ORS. See, I can see in my logs something was undeployed. When I try to just rename it, as if the file got undeployed. Log, but yeah. Now let me try to create an ORS. Zip underscore ant dot backspace create underscore ORS. So I want Oracle service localhost. See, when I click on enter, that means whatever is in the bracket, default these things will be taken. So I'm not typing them. So ORS should be test underscore ORS underscore 123. So I'm giving again a password. So I asked you, right? This password should be given. This is my first password. You can see this password, I don't mind because anyways it's my local, you can't use it anywhere. So meantime, let me open the SQL. So, guys, it is extending more than 8:30. It's fine for everybody, right? Another 5 to 10 minutes, this will be done.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, Amulya.
That's fine, Amulya. No problem.
Okay, so the database has been created successfully. You should know few things here. See, you as a developer, you will never have access to something called CMX system. And this CMX system is something which is created when you install this MDM Hub Console. Okay, as a developer, you will never have access to it in any real-time projects, except if the project has that requirement. And meantime, I'll show both the things. What all you should know. So right now we created one thing called test underscore ORS 123. Let me go to full name. This one is service name here. Take a test. So before I connect to that, I want to show you. So let's start from. See here, I can see all these databases which are already registered in MDM. This is all local. Don't get confused. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and these are 1, 2, 3, and another is a master class. This is all in CMX system. Now let me go to test and do a select star from see, I do not, I see some tables, okay, where owner equal to test underscore ORS 123. See, I don't see any table with this particular ORS, right? I have created a ORS. Now, meantime, let us try to do something. Try to register it here. Oracle service. Sorry. I'm just trying to test it. The connection is still fine. But right now at this point of time, I do not want to add it. Why? Because to add a schema, you can add a schema, but there is something that you should have, a system generated table. This all will be taken care by admin. You need not worry about it. But you should have an idea on what should be there and what not should be there. That's the reason I'm just putting this effort. Once I create an ORS, what I try to do is I try to import an ORS. I'll just try to show you what will happen here. This is how a schema will be created with respect to MDM. So these all are again the same, just that I have changed the script name. And here it is not asking me for, this is my test underscore. I'll tell you what I just tried to do. See, what here it's happening is, now I created a schema, and MDM schema is not something that you regularly create. And that's the reason I'm creating some internal tables for it, where I will have different things like different repos tables in simple. That means that I said you that when you create a base object, there are some other tables that have been created automatically. When you create a stage, all the MDM, okay, when you can run on, you can create a mapping between landing to staging, and you do not create anything between staging to load. How those all are automatically created are using this script. Okay, the scripts create a lots of internal tables which will manage the metadata. You will not be aware of it as a developer, but as an admin, he or as an MDM admin or an MDM completely admin guy will be taking care of all these things. He'll create a schema for you, and with a command called create ORS, and then after creating an ORS, he is running something called what is that? Import ORS script, which will create all C repos functions. If at all by mistake, if something is not working out in MDM, what you should try to do is run this particular command, select start from all the tables. And you don't see any tables here. And that point of time, you should be able to go back and tell that, okay, guys, things are not working because there are no repos tables. Now, if I try to do here,
So after running the script, how many tables will be created, Amulya, here?
it all depends upon version to version.
Okay.
But minimum of 250 will be created. Okay, now why is this not working? So the build is successful.
Maybe you need to check that where cause, because test underscore ORS 123. Not sure.
Yeah, I guess that will be admitted. Okay, no, it is in capital. Okay, by default connecting it into. See, let me just go quick count. So there are 284 records. This number of rows depends upon version to version. It might increase and it might decrease. So now these all are the data that has been saved after you run this particular import ORS script. And now this is a perfect ORS for your MDM and is ready to use. If at all there are no repos tables, you can never use this particular, what do you say? You can never use this particular schema. It's of waste. Though you can just register it in your MDM, it will still not be of any use. Okay. This is how we create a schema. We try to import a schema as at an admin part, and now we try to register it with an MDM. And you see this, these all are the logs which are triggered. These all are the MDM JBoss logs and all those which will be triggered saying that this all is happening in your MDM. Okay, this
Amulya,
all, uh-huh.
Amulya, what kind of data exists in those tables?
Yeah,
This
that is all the metadata. That means that we will say some of the tables whenever required. What will happen is when you create a schema, when we were seeing the other day that, where did that go? In this diagram, when we were seeing, we could see on that day that we created a landing table, staging table, and a mapping. Whereas from staging to base object, this mapping was automatic. I said that this will be automatically created. How? Because of some metadata tables, this function is enabled when you create a mapping or when you create a base object or when you create a staging table. And this raw table and reject table are automatically created when you apply some of, when you just do some clicks or when you just add some functionality. How they are created automatically. These are the repos tables that will allow you to create this meta tables or metadata processes automatically. And when you create one MDM base object, there will be n number of tables that are created automatically along with it. Like when I create a base object called account, account xref, account history, account merge, and all will be created automatically. How? Due to some metadata tables. And those metadata tables are these repos tables. Okay, this is just a good to have knowledge. That's the reason this will not be there for your practicals, and you will not be given access to that. And that's the reason I'm just trying to show you it on my local. Clear here?
yeah, okay, Amulya. So nobody will ask about the script in interviews.
No. Nobody will ask you the script. But if you say that, if they ask you, do you have a knowledge on, do you have an idea how a ORS is created for your MDM, then you can easily say that it is under SIP underscore answer ORS. That I will just add it tomorrow somewhere in a note also.
Okay.
What are the scripts used so that you can just have an idea on what is being used and you will not say no. If you
Okay.
say yes for everything, then definitely you'll be considered there. And you should say that, okay, I have an idea that create underscore ORS and import ORS scripts are the one that are being used to create an ORS. And that's like a good to have knowledge for an experienced MDM developer.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else? Now that today we have covered this part, except the repository manager, we will see repository manager slowly. Or right now at this point of time, we don't need that. After the development, we will come back to the repository manager. That is a very important part, and we cannot do it at this point of time. We will do it very soon.
One
Any
question,
doubt? Yes, please.
Amulya. Yeah, then like you entered one command, the SIP
Yes, keep
underscore NI dot
underscore. And
underscore. Yeah, means like they will ask that things like how to import that ORS and all that thing to us.
no. You are not, as a developer, you are not expected to know that. But I am
Okay.
showing it because at least some days, some a little bit, you'll have an idea, right?
Yes, correct.
I
And
don't
one more
think.
question, like
Mhm,
it's like just like if we configured ORS, means
mhm.
we got some like information like in which tables that have data. You told us it's like metadata. We don't know that. Means like they just give that information. You have this amount, this data, like you have that country data, state data, means like users and all that thing. Means
Oh,
how can we know that? Yeah, that things.
okay. So, Ashika,
Because it's like, yeah, sure.
can you please be more relevant about the question? I mean, I did not
Yeah,
understand
yeah,
the question.
yeah. The thing is like, suppose uh, we configured one ORS. It's like Shaker
Okay.
underscore ORS. Okay, we
Okay.
configured, but we don't know what data in that ORS. It's like in
Okay.
it's he told us
Okay.
258, 248, two like 84 tables, like something. But
Okay.
in those data, I mean, in those tables, who is the relevant data which we need to use that, like which we for mapping and all that things.
Got you.
Actually,
No.
I'm confused there only because if we configured
Okay.
ORS, then how we got that data?
Okay.
First
Now,
of all,
when we configured an ORS, and these all are the data that we have, these
yeah.
are the tables. None of the tables we will use for development. All the 284 tables are all for internal MDM use. We do not use even a single table out of it. What we try to
Okay.
do, this country and all those things, are what we develop within MDM. Here we develop our own tables that we need. But whatever is here in this 284 tables are of no use for a developer.
Okay.
All MDM is creating for itself, so that it will help to build some tables by itself. It will help to add some jobs by itself. That I will show what all are created. But as a developer, you do not have
Mhm.
anything like country data or address data or something that is added here. No, these tables are just of no use for a developer. These are used for MDM internally, and if at all something is going wrong for any type of table that you have created is wrong, those data is saved in these particular tables for admin purpose.
Yeah, correct.
But
But
mhm,
yeah, please,
please
please,
ask.
please, please. Yeah,
But
but
as
where we get the data? Means like where we get the data? Just
what do
I'm
you mean by
confused. I'm means like suppose we run that query, select a
uh-huh.
star from like country, then we fetch the data. Means in MDM, if we are doing mapping, then we can show the data like that
Mm,
stage process. You show us that okay, these are the users. Okay,
mhm.
we just consolidation process. We got this much filter data. Means how can we
Mhm.
get that data? Means my question is like
Okay.
that.
Okay, now you're telling that, okay, now
Hmm.
I created a base object. I have some data in it already. You're talking about it.
Yes, 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 sir. How
So
can we
what
get the
I
data?
that data is all got from the tables that we create. We do not refer these tables at all.
Okay.
See, now what we did this we have created a ORS. Now as a
Mm-hmm.
developer, you have no idea what these all are things. You have nothing to do with it also. But
Okay.
MDM will work only if these tables are existing for it, for that
Okay.
particular
It's
schema.
like that dummy tables for us.
Yeah, for you it's a dummy table. For a developer, it's a dummy table, and you have nothing to do with what these tables and all these things are. As a developer, you will start creating some other tables, and data is being pushed into that particular table, and you will work on that particular table only. These
Okay.
tables are all dummy tables for developers, but they should sit on MDM schema so that your MDM will be up and running.
Okay.
So
Okay, let me talk. Mhm.
Amulya, just for developer, we have to create a schema and register it. That's it. Then we can use that
Developer is
schema.
not even creating a schema. Admin is creating a schema. Admin is importing these tables, and he is giving you the schema details like schema name, schema password, and all. As a
Right,
developer, your work start on registering a database here
right.
and then
That's
creating the table for yourself
yeah, creating the landing tables and all those kind of stuff.
and all those kind of stuff. Whereas
Yeah.
creating this repository tables and all is all an admin's headache and are maintained by admin or
So
MDM by.
as a developer, we should not worry about what about the imported reports. They,
Yes.
internally, it will take care of to landing and other staging tables information.
Yeah, it will take all, see, whatever you create in a schema, those all will be saved in these particular tables or not. Excuse me, I'm very sorry. See, whatever you create in MDM, a table or a column or add something here, all is saved in these particular tables. It's a metadata.
Right.
But You are not doing anything with respect to this particular tables. You are neither changing it, you're not viewing it also as an instance. But when you go to interviews, what they'll ask is, have you ever seen repository? You should say, yes, I know what repository tables are. When you ask what are repository tables, you should be able to tell that repository tables are the one which will save the data, which will save metadata. When you save metadata, what is it? See, now I login and create a landing table in my schema. That landing table name, the landing table will be saved and I will be using it perfectly. But this landing table will be saved somewhere in one of the repos table.
Right.
Those details.
Right.
And if I create a user here in my MDM, if I create a user in one of the repos tables, it will be showing a history like, okay, Shekhar logged in. He created this particular user, and this
Right.
is the password. Password will not be shown. And in some other table, it will be showing that, okay, Amulya logged in and she registered a database, which is a database that has been registered by Amulya. Those details will be saved.
Right. Right.
Shekhar, still confused?
No. So see, like what maybe Dinesh might be thinking now, like in Oracle, any database now, they have data dictionary tables now, they have something to do. Like when you create an index, it will be saved in data dictionary table. Maybe he's thinking like that. So data dictionary tables, maybe we don't need to touch those things.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Shekhar, clear?
Yes.
Yeah, I will ask some questions like tomorrow because it's like more than yeah.
Okay, no problem. You can just make a note of it, and
Yeah,
tomorrow
sure,
before we start, we can have a small Q&A.
sure.
Okay. Okay,
Now, any
Amalya.
doubt?
No,
You can
No,
stop here.
Amulya.
yeah, we can.
Yeah.
No, coming to, I have a couple of things which we need to ask. One is the PPTs which you are looking at. Are we gonna get copy of them?
Yes, you'll be getting it right now. Okay, I'll just ask them the access for share drive so that I can put it directly into the share drive without sending that.
Yes.
That
And
will be
also the
more.
lab PPTs. I mean, what we need to practice. What are the steps? Do we have something
Yeah.
like that? You know?
That you'll be getting it, but for this part of the thing, you do not have that particular document. Okay, let me just show. For this particular thing, you can just add and remove the existing schemas. But for this,
Mm.
we do not have any lab that has been provided. But from here, you'll be given the lab guidelines.
Okay, from
We have for
model.
both AM and data steward, data utilities. For all those, we have
For all those, we
modules.
will have. But for this, adding a user, adding a database, you can do it by yourself. I don't think you need something to assist it for user and all creation, right?
Okay.
So Amelia, when are we going to get the access to the server?
Venu, you will get it maybe in another 1 to 2 hours. And for rest of the people, I'll just follow up.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Amelia.
Bye bye. Thank you. Have
Thank
a
you.
nice
Bye-bye.
day.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Amulya. Bye. Bye.